Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today we are talking about the movie Where the Crawdads Sing. Where the Crawdads Sing is, well, it's going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you aren't concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. Where the Crawdads Sing is based on the global best-selling novel by, I forget her name, Delia Owens is her name. So basically it's a story about a young woman in 1969, I believe, North Carolina, who is accused of murder. She's a girl who lives in a sort of shack in the middle of the swamp by herself. They refer to her as Marsh Girl. And so it kind of deals with prejudice and sort of the implications, not knowing somebody, sort of being a stranger or an outsider. Yeah, so as far as what I liked about the movie, overall, I really liked the cast. I think Daisy Edgar-Jones was great as Kaya, the main character. David Strathairn as her attorney was great as sort of the Southern lawyer, kind of reminded me of an Atticus Finch type from To Kill a Mockingbird. Always loved David Strathairn. He was really good in this. Garrett Dillahunt is in here briefly as the dad. I'm a huge Garrett Dillahunt fan. Anytime I see him, he's great. He was in Raising Hope, which is a show I like. And he was also on Deadwood. He played two separate characters on Deadwood, and most people didn't even realize. So good actor. The kids, there's some kids in this. When there's some flashbacks, and the movie is somewhat non-linear, but the kids they have in this, I think, are overall pretty good. It's hard to find good kid actors, and I think in this case, they found some kids that were pretty believable. So in the movie, Kaya is sort of lives on her own. She has some siblings who leave, and a mother who leaves, and her father. She's eventually left on her own in this swamp, so she doesn't know how to read or write. And her first boyfriend kind of teaches her how to read and write. And so for me, as someone who has a degree in language arts and has sort of taught people how to read and write before, that really resonated for me. And I really thought it was interesting. I love reading. I love words and language. And to me, it's really important. So a movie that's about sharing sort of the ability and the love of reading is always really good. The romance in this movie kind of worked for me. Surprisingly, I'm not a big romance guy. I mean, I don't hate romance, but I don't watch a lot of romance movies. This isn't my kind of type of movie, generally speaking. But yeah, I found myself really sort of caring about her and the first boy that she was dating, who Tate. His name was Tate. Yeah, I liked him. I thought they had decent chemistry between them and a nice little relationship. I didn't really understand the drama that was in there, but you got to make drama. You got to have a story somehow. There's a cat in here. I guess his name is Sunday Justice. I might be wrong there. I read that somewhere. I like the cat. There's a part where she's in the jail cell and you see this cat and she's like, please don't go. I think it's the first thing she says. And she's like, please stay or something like that. And I was like, yeah, please stay. And I'm so glad when the cat did stay with her. That was nice. Just a nice little moment like that. I don't know. I like cats. And the setting, like I said, is North Carolina in the late 60s, although it goes back to the early 60s or mid 60s and maybe the late 50s at some point. I don't exactly remember, but cool setting, cool time period. You got to see a lot of cool cars. And I like that they even had some cars that were not exactly from 1969. They were from, the mid 60s, early 60s. And there was even one I noticed that had a dent in it, which just, I don't know, stuff like that is kind of cool because a lot of times if you see a period movie and it's set in 1969, every single car is from 1969 and they're all brand new looking. And you're like, well, that's not what it looked like in the 60s though. So yeah, and I really did like the sort of idea of her publishing a book and doing all that. Again, as somebody who likes reading and writing and is currently trying to publish a book, yeah, totally resonated with me. Like I really was hoping for, and I felt really, really happy when she did get the book published. As far as what I didn't like about the movie, there's some bad CGI birds in it. The opening shot is this crane, I think maybe, some kind of bird flying around, and it's not terrible, but it's obviously not a real bird. And I don't know why they did it. I don't know if they needed it. I don't think it added much to the story necessarily. There's another scene, this sort of romantic scene where all these birds come flying in, and again, very obviously CGI, and the actors are doing good, but you can tell they're reacting to nothing, and it's supposed to be this romantic scene, and it's not very romantic. At least I didn't think it was very romantic. Kaya's a little too clean and her teeth are a little too nice, for someone who lives in a swamp. I remember thinking that as I was watching, well, just because she lives in a swamp doesn't mean she has to be dirty. She can still have proper hygiene and shower every day, and she can even brush her teeth every day. There's, nothing that says she wouldn't, but I would think her clothes would be dirty, or, if she's walking around barefoot, I would think her feet would be dirty. And again, teeth, she could brush them every day, sure, but unless she's really lucky and happen to be born with perfectly straight teeth, there's a good chance she's probably not going to have perfectly straight teeth. Whatever, it can happen. And obviously she has to be somewhat attractive. If she was completely hideous, then she probably wouldn't have, the romance kind of stuff. So, okay, fine, I get it. Overall, I didn't love the direction of the movie. I think if I were to fault one thing, that's what it would be. There's nothing particularly bad about it, nothing that really stood out, but it definitely has sort of a Lifetime made-for-TV movie kind of look to it sometimes. And a lot of times I was kind of thinking that. Not all the time, there's certainly times where it transcends that, but to me, it basically seemed pretty close to that kind of thing. The characterizations are a little thin with this. I liked the characters for the most part, but I don't know. So basically there's this first guy she starts dating named Tate, I think. And she knew him when he was a little kid, and he's a nice guy. He wants to help her out. He wants to marry her. But then there's this supposedly romantic scene where they're about to have sex, and there's these birds coming down, and they're outside and everything else. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's romantic, but if this is her first time, wouldn't she rather be in a bed somewhere clean where it's not gonna be all dirty and there's not birds flying around, dropping feathers and shitting all over the place? I mean, I don't know. She likes bird feathers, so maybe not. But take her to a hotel, man. Like, come on. Show some class, bro. And then the second guy she dates, this Chase guy, is obviously supposed to be a bad guy, and he is just very much one note bad. Like there maybe a little bit of he says he wants to marry her, but like they show almost no redeeming qualities for the guy. Like it's very obvious from the second you see him, oh, this guy sucks. He's bursting in. He's not, listening to her boundaries. He's not paying attention to her. He doesn't really care about her. He's very controlling, and so. I guess the appeal is she hasn't, really dated anyone for 5 years, so I can sort of see that, but just a very unlikable guy. It would have been nice if they gave him a little more dimension. And there's this couple who owned the store that she goes to as a kid, and they're in the movie throughout, and they're, the only people, well, not, they're one of the only people who are really nice to her and help her out and support her, which is great. They're great characters, but again, pretty one-dimensional. They're just very good people. They're paragons of virtue, and that's it. And I'm not saying I wanted them to be terrible people, or I wanted them to betray her, or something terrible to happen. It would have been nice to give them a little bit more to it. Maybe the dad liked to tell bad jokes, or the mom was a bad singer or something. I don't know, something to add to the characters other than, oh, they're just very nice and helpful people. The movie in the same key, it's lacking some sort of subtlety and nuance for a lot of the stuff. I assume the book is a little better in this. With the movie, you've got to condense it down a little bit. But yeah, there's not, for me, again, I'm talking spoilers here, but everything that happened was pretty obvious to me. I wasn't surprised at all. There's a twist at the end we can talk about a little bit more, but so the whole plot of the movie is she's on trial for maybe killing this guy, and you think she's obviously innocent, because how could she possibly have done it? But at the end, it turned out she did kill the guy, and it's pretty obvious she killed the guy. The guy was terrible. He was the worst. So like, yeah, of course she killed him. It's not surprising. And so so part of the same issue I have is sort of the order that the events unfold in this. They do sort of a non-linear thing, which I never like that, honestly. But so it bounces back and forth a little bit. It's not too bad. But the main issue that I have is just like, she's on trial, they're holding her, and you're like, why are they even holding her? They have no reason to hold her. They have no evidence or anything. And then you realize, okay, she knew this guy. Okay, fine. Still no reason to hold her. Oh, there's this hat that had these fibers on it. Okay, and they did show them seeing something in the cabin and bursting in, but they didn't tell you what it was until much later. And then you're still like, all right, all of this evidence is circumstantial. It doesn't prove anything. Why are they? And then they finally reveal that somebody overheard her saying if she saw him again, she would kill him. Okay, fine. Now it makes sense. The motivations are there. But the way that they decided to parse that out was kind of frustrating, because I'm just sitting here going, they have no case. It is clear she's totally innocent. And then you finally kind of, it's explained and you go, okay, yeah. And so other than that, the accents are kind of all over the place. Again, Daisy Edgar-Jones is a British actress, and I think she pulled off the North Carolina accent pretty well. And most of the other actors did, but some of them are definitely a little all over the place. There's some that are, a little more Georgia or Texas. And then there's some that are just totally broad caricatures. I think the guy who overheard her saying, if I see you again, I'll kill you. He's like, yep, she was that one in there in that courtroom. I don't know, maybe that guy really is from North Carolina. But to me, his accent was comical. It was just very ridiculous and silly. Like I said, the movie is a little bit predictable. I was not surprised at all at the end when they revealed that she had killed him. And I really didn't like the way that they did it. Because number one, they show them getting older together, which I kind of liked. And it was sort of like a notebook kind of thing where you show, oh, they get to her and the first boy, Tate, who Again, his motivations for not wanting to be there are stupid and don't make any sense, but fine, whatever. And then, yeah, the ending, they show the old guy, the couple who owned the store, he dies, I think, eventually. And then they show them with this terrible old makeup that just looks terrible. And I understand the movie had a fairly low budget, but still not great. And then they do this kind of nice thing where they show a tree and then they keep panning over, and then you see a real old couple, which is better. And then finally she dies, and then her husband, I guess, is going through her books, and he finds the necklace that ostensibly shows that she actually did murder him. And then he kind of seems shocked by this, and I'm like, how are you shocked by this, bro? You know she murdered that dude. Come on. And like, she didn't tell you at any point over the 50 years or whatever you were married. Like, come on, like, you never suspected once. And then he like throws it in the, well, he doesn't even throw it, he drops it into like the swamp, which I'm like, why are you dropping it? It's not like there's a tide that's going to come in and take that exactly. And then also, if you're going to do that, throw it farther. And then also, why are you even bothering? She's dead. What are they going to do? And it happened like 50 years ago. Like, what? I don't understand. So that was stupid. And God, yeah, the worst part is, and you saw this coming from a mile away, but the last line in the movie, of course, is, you have to go to where the crawdads sing. Well, yeah, of course, it's so stupid. And I'm sure that was great. And I'm sure reading the book, it's probably a lot better. But for me, it was just very like, wah, wah, wah. And then the Taylor Swift song comes on. Nothing against Taylor Swift. She's better than a lot of the other stuff out there, but not my style of music, not the kind of thing I want to hear. So yeah, shout out to the dude who afterward came up to me and asked me about the ending, though. Sorry if I seem like a jerk. I just didn't expect anyone to do that. So I'm sure he doesn't watch it anyway. So yeah, other than that, the movie is directed by Olivia Newman. She directed one movie before this called First Match, which is about a young woman who was on the wrestling team, I believe. And there was also a short called First Match before that. I think it came out on Netflix. I haven't seen it. And that's pretty much her only feature film. She's done some TV shows, but stuff that I don't watch. Like I said, it's based on a book by Delia Owens. It's one of the best-selling books of all time, or something like that. I think I read, so like 80 million copies, something crazy. I don't know. I'm just repeating what I read, so I might be totally wrong there. So there is a bit of a controversy with her as well. For a while, she and her husband were in Zambia doing some work to kind of combat poaching. During that, at one point while they're filming, an ABC crew is filming a documentary, and there is someone who they think is a poacher who was killed on camera. That cameraman, or one of the cameramen involved with that, claims that the person who shot that poacher was Delia Owens' stepson. So from what I understand, her husband, and the stepson left Zambia and are still currently wanted for questioning as a possible witness, co-conspirator, or accessory to murder. So yeah, that comes up a bit, and obviously I didn't want to misstate anything, and I'm just saying my understanding of the situation, because it's easy to oversimplify and say, oh, this is based on a true story. But some people seem to think that it's almost like Basic Instinct or something, where it's like, oh yeah, she murdered somebody and then wrote a book about it. This isn't exactly that, but it does seem like maybe something did go on there. I don't know. Other than that, the actual screenplay was written by a woman named Lucy Alibar, who wrote Beast of the Southern Wild, which is a movie that I really liked. So, and a similar setting. I think that was maybe set in Louisiana. I forget. But yeah, cool. Good for her. I hope to see more from her in the future. Like I said, the Taylor Swift song came out in the end. I don't hate Taylor Swift, but I don't like her either. She exists. And then I guess Reese Witherspoon was involved in this. I'm not a big Reese Witherspoon fan either, especially if she stabbed that guy all those times. But I guess this is part of her Hello Sunshine book club, because she's got a book club now. I don't know. So I guess maybe that helped the sales, and there's people, I don't know. Do people care about Reese Witherspoon, really? Yeah, she sucks. Also, remember she got drunk and was like, do you know who I am? Anyway, yeah, so as far as the score on this movie, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's better than I expected, honestly, and I don't regret seeing it. I think this is the kind of movie, if I had a girlfriend or something who wanted to see it, I wouldn't be that upset about it. It's definitely better than Twilight or 50 Shades of Grey or any of that nonsense. So it's good to see, a movie. It's based on a story written by a woman with a strong female protagonist, and a summertime movie that women want to see. They don't get as many, I think, as we do sometimes. So That's cool. I like that. But that being said, not my kind of movie, and there's definitely some problems with it. It's not a perfect film by any means, but a fun story, and I'm sure the book is a lot better. So yeah, maybe I should read the book. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you here again next week.